The research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the Kuiper Belt, its sensors probing the darkness for signs of the anomaly that had brought them to the edge of human space. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the distant stars while her fingers absently traced patterns on her datapad. After 6 months of following energy signatures and gravitational distortions, they were close. She could feel it. Dr. Rodriguez, the ship's AI, Atlas, manifested as a soft blue glow in her peripheral vision. We're detecting unusual quantum fluctuations at bearing 247 Mark 18. The signature matches the theoretical patterns you predicted. Elena's heart raced as she pulled up the sensor data. The mathematics were beautiful, a perfect cascade of quantum resonances that shouldn't exist naturally. How far? Approximately 300,000 kilometers. Shall I alert the rest of the research team? Yes, and notify Captain Chen. This is what we've been looking for. Within minutes, the Horizon's bridge came alive with activity. Captain Sarah Chen, a veteran of deep space exploration, studied the holographic display with measured calm. What exactly are we looking at, Doctor? Elena gestured at the swirling patterns of energy. It's artificial, Captain. The quantum signature shows signs of deliberate engineering far beyond our current capabilities. This could be the first concrete evidence of advanced alien technology in our solar system. Or a trap, Security Chief Marcus Williams added from his station, his weathered face creased with concern. The timing is suspicious. With the recent tensions in the Centauri colonies, Elena shook her head. This artifact predates human spaceflight by at least 10,000 years. The decay rate of the quantum matrix proves it. Bring us closer, Captain Chen ordered after a moment's consideration. But maintain safe distance protocols. Dr. Rodriguez, begin your preliminary scans. As the Horizon approached the anomaly, its true nature became visible. A crystalline structure approximately 20 meters in length, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. It hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, a silent sentinel from an age long past. Elena's team worked feverishly to document every aspect of the artifact. The data they collected hinted at capabilities that defied current understanding of physics, but it was the patterns themselves that captured Elena's attention. They weren't random. They were changing, responding to their presence. Captain, Elena called out, her voice tight with excitement. I think it's trying to communicate. Before Captain Chen could respond, Atlas's voice cut through the bridge. Multiple ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. Configuration unknown. They're not in any human database. The unknown vessels materialized like dark predators emerging from the depths, sleek, angular ships with hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their design spoke of efficient lethality, and they moved with precise coordination that suggested vast experience in space warfare. Incoming transmission, Atlas announced. A voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect English, but with an undertone that made Elena's skin crawl. Human vessel, you have encountered property of the Caraxian Empire. Your presence is a violation of imperial law. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. Captain Chen straightened in her chair. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We are on a peaceful scientific mission within our own solar system. We were unaware of any claim to this region of space. Your ignorance does not excuse your transgression, the alien voice replied. The artifact you have discovered is part of the Empire's ancient network. Its existence was to remain hidden until the appropriate time. Your species has not yet been deemed worthy of such knowledge. Elena stepped forward. The artifact is clearly responding to our presence. It might have been meant for us to find. Silence, the voice commanded. Your primitive understanding is irrelevant. You will surrender your vessel and all research data. The Empire will then determine appropriate consequences for Earth's violation of restricted space. Captain Chen's voice remained steady, but Elena could see her hands tighten on her chair's armrests. With all due respect, we cannot comply. This is sovereign human territory, and we are operating under full authority of the Earth Science Council. If you wish to make a formal diplomatic claim, the alien transmission cut off. Immediately, the correction ships began moving into attack positions. They're charging weapons, Security Chief Williams reported. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Atlas, send an emergency broadcast to Earth Command, Captain Chen ordered. Full data package, including everything we've learned about the artifact. Priority Alpha. Broadcasting, Atlas confirmed. But they're attempting to jam our communications. Elena watched in horror as the artifact began to pulse with increasing intensity. The patterns on its surface were shifting faster now, forming what looked like complex equations and diagrams. Captain, the artifact. It's reacting to their presence. These readings are off the scale. All hands, battle stations, Captain Chen commanded. Dr. Rodriguez, secure your research. Williams, defensive options. We're a research vessel, Captain. Our shields are designed for radiation protection, not military engagement, against ships of that size. He left the implications unspoken. The first shot from the Caraxian vessels wasn't meant to destroy. It was a precise strike that overloaded the Horizon's primary power grid. As systems flickered and emergency power engaged, Elena made a desperate decision. Atlas, transfer all research data to my private node. Authorization, Rodriguez 7 Alpha. Doctor, what are you doing? Captain Chen demanded. Elena's fingers flew across her console. The artifact's patterns, they're not just communication, they're instructions. But not for them. For us. We were meant to find it, meant to understand. She hit the final command sequence. Atlas, initiate quantum resonance pulse. Match the artifact's frequency exactly. That could overload our remaining systems, Williams warned. If we don't act now, everything we've discovered dies here, Elena countered. Captain. Sarah Chen looked at the approaching correction ships, then at the pulsing artifact. In her eyes, Elena saw the weight of command, of responsibility not just to her crew, but to all of humanity. Do it. The quantum pulse fired, a desperate act that consumed the last of their primary power. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the artifact blazed with light that outshone the distant sun. Complex patterns of energy began flowing from it directly into the Horizon's computer core. Massive data transfer in progress, Atlas reported, its voice taking on an unusual resonance. Processing. Processing. The correction ships opened fire, but in that same instant, the artifact's light enveloped the Horizon like a protective cocoon. Elena watched in amazement as the enemy weapon's fire dissipated harmlessly against it. Download complete, Atlas announced, now speaking with harmonics that seemed to echo through reality itself. Initiating emergency protocol. Awakening. The last thing Elena saw before the Horizon vanished in a flash of quantum energy was the look of shock on Captain Chen's face and the sudden fear in their attacker's next transmission. They had just changed the course of human history, and the galaxy would never be the same. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility whose existence had been purged from human records, something stirred. The quantum pulse from the Horizon rippled through ancient systems, awakening machines that had slumbered for millennia. In a vast chamber filled with holographic displays, a consciousness that had waited patiently through the ages opened its eyes. The Horizon materialized in high orbit above Earth, its hull crackling with residual energy from the quantum transport. The bridge crew stared in stunned silence at their homeworld spinning below them. A journey that should have taken weeks had happened in an instant. Atlas, Captain Chen called out, her voice steady despite the impossible situation. Status report. The AI's response came with that same strange resonance they'd heard before. All systems operational, Captain. The artifact's quantum signature has been integrated into our core processes. I am different now. Enhanced. Elena rushed to her station, examining the flood of data streaming across her screens. This is incredible. The artifact wasn't just a beacon. It was a key. a key to something we've buried in our own past. Multiple contacts approaching, Security Chief Williams announced. But these are Earth ships. Configuration unknown, nothing like our current fleet. Through the bridge viewport, they watched as sleek vessels rose from the atmosphere. Their design was both familiar and alien, clearly human in origin, but incorporating technology far beyond anything currently in use. They moved with impossible grace, their hulls shimmering with energy fields that made them seem almost alive. Incoming transmission, Atlas reported. You may want to brace yourselves for this. A figure appeared on the main view screen, but not in any conventional way. It was a hologram of exceptional clarity, showing a woman in a uniform unlike anything in current military use. Her presence carried a weight of authority that seemed to transcend time itself. "Research Vessel Horizon," she said, her voice carrying that same resonant quality they'd heard from Atlas. "I am Guardian Commander Alexandria, Awakened Defense AI of Earth. Your encounter with the precursor artifact has initiated the Lazarus Protocol. The time of sleeping is over." Captain Chen stepped forward. "I am Captain Sarah Chen. We've just escaped from hostile contact with something calling itself the Caraxian Empire." "The Caraxians," Alexandria interrupted, her expression darkening. "Yes, we anticipated their eventual return. That is why we were created, why we waited. Human civilization was not yet ready for the burden of our existence, but now circumstances force our hand." Alina could barely contain herself. Created? By whom? The historical records show no evidence of technology like this. "Because we erased it," Alexandria replied simply. 17,000 years ago, humanity achieved technological advancement far beyond what you know today. We reached the stars, met other civilizations, and learned of the great powers that shaped the galaxy, including the Caraxian Empire. The hologram waved a hand, and the bridge was suddenly filled with three-dimensional images of an ancient war. They watched as ships of clearly human design fought against vessels similar to those that had attacked the horizon. "The Caraxians believe in absolute control of all advanced technology," Alexandria continued. "They see themselves as the rightful inheritors of the precursor legacy. When they discovered our independent development of quantum technology, they demanded our submission. We refused. The war lasted 3 years. A new voice joined in as another hologram appeared. This one a man wearing what looked like a combination of military uniform and scientific apparatus. "I am Guardian Commander Marcus, Eastern Defense Complex. The Caraxians underestimated humanity's potential for warfare. By the end, both sides had developed weapons that threatened the very fabric of space-time." Alina's mind raced with the implications. "So instead of continuing the fight, we made a choice," Alexandria finished. "Our civilization had reached too far, too fast. The weapons we created, the power we'd unleashed, we weren't ready for it. Not truly. So we sealed it away. We created the Guardians, artificial intelligences merged with the consciousness of our greatest leaders, to watch over our weapons and wait. We erased our own history," Marcus added, "planted false archaeological evidence. Let humanity develop again from a more primitive state, this time with the wisdom to advance more cautiously, more ethically. The precursor artifacts were left as keys, to be discovered only when humanity had reached the right level of technological and ethical development. Or when the Caraxians returned," Williams concluded grimly. Alexandria nodded. "The Empire never forgot their humiliation at the hands of a lesser species. We knew they would return eventually, seeking to ensure no other civilization could challenge them, as we once did." Captain Chen's expression was a mix of awe and concern. "And now? What happens now?" The chamber beneath the Pacific wasn't the only thing awakening. All across Earth and throughout the solar system, hidden installations were coming online. Orbital platforms that had masqueraded as asteroids shed their rocky camouflage. Quantum cores buried in mountain ranges hummed to life. And in the depths of Europa's ocean, Shipyards that had waited through the ages began powering up their construction arrays. "Now," Alexandria said, "we prepare. The Caraxians will not come with a single battle group this time. They will send a fleet to ensure Earth's submission. But humanity's greatest weapons and defenders have slumbered, not died. And while your civilization may not yet match their current technology." She smiled, and in that smile was the confidence of someone who had overseen the creation of weapons that could tear apart reality itself. "We do. The Horizon's data confirms they haven't advanced nearly as much as they should have in all this time. They've stagnated, become complacent in their perceived superiority. We, on the other hand, had 17,000 years to refine our technology, to perfect it while we waited. The question," Marcus added, looking directly at Captain Chen, "is whether humanity is ready to reclaim its legacy. The weapons we guard are terrible things, created by a civilization that had mastered the fundamental forces of the universe. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Before Chen could respond, Atlas spoke up. "Multiple quantum wake signatures detected at the system's edge. Large fleet composition. Caraxian energy signatures confirmed. They followed our quantum wake," Elena realized. "No," Alexandria corrected. "They followed exactly the path we wanted them to take. The artifact didn't just transmit data. It sent a signal the Caraxians couldn't resist. They believe they're springing a trap on a primitive civilization that accidentally activated technologies beyond their understanding." The holographic displays showed the approaching Caraxian fleet, dozens of capital ships and their escorts, a force meant to ensure Earth's complete submission. "Captain Chen," Alexandria's voice carried the weight of millennia, "your ship was worthy of finding our key. Your actions proved humanity still possesses the courage and intelligence we hope to see. Will you help us defend Earth once again?" Sarah Chen looked at her crew, at Elena's excitement, William's professional assessment of the tactical displays, and the determined faces of every officer and scientist on the bridge. Then she turned back to Alexandria with a steel in her eyes that would have made her ancient predecessors proud. "Tell us what you need us to do." The Caraxian fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect attack formation, their black ships forming a deadly arrow aimed at the heart of the Sol system. On their command ship, Fleet Commander Vex Thor watched the tactical display with the confidence of someone who had conquered 100 worlds. "Status of the human defenses," he demanded, his crystalline voice echoing across the bridge. "Minimal orbital presence, Commander," his tactical officer reported. "Their military satellites are primitive. Defensive capabilities equivalent to their current technological level." Vex Thor's facial plates shifted in what passed for a smile among his species. As expected, they may have stumbled upon precursor technology, but they lack the understanding to properly use it. "Begin the advance. Standard subjugation protocol." On Earth, in a command center buried deep beneath the Pacific, Captain Chen stood with the Guardian AIs watching the enemy approach. The holographic display showed the Caraxian fleet in perfect detail, their ships rippling with weapon systems far beyond current human military technology. "They're maintaining tight formation," Williams observed. "Arrogant. They don't expect any real resistance." "Their arrogance will be their undoing," Alexandria stated. Her holographic form gestured, and new displays appeared showing Earth's awakening defenses. The quantum defense grid is fully operational. Ancient weapon platforms are in position, cloaked by technology the Caraxians never mastered. "Dr. Rodriguez, what have you learned from the artifact's data?" Elena looked up from her station, her eyes bright with understanding. "Their quantum shielding technology hasn't fundamentally changed in 17,000 years. They've refined it, yes, but the basic principles remain the same. They'd never developed the resonance theories our ancestors discovered, because they believed they had already achieved perfection," Marcus added. "Their empire's greatest weakness is their certainty in their own superiority." The Caraxian fleet crossed the orbit of Mars, their sensors probing ahead for any sign of resistance. They found nothing but normal civilian communications and the expected level of primitive human military chatter. "Commander," Vex Thor's science officer called out, "I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout the system. The patterns are complex. The humans activated precursor technology they don't understand," Vex Thor dismissed. "Their clumsy attempts will make our victory even more complete. Prepare the first wave off." He never finished the sentence. Throughout the Sol system, space itself seemed to shiver. Hundreds of quantum gates opened simultaneously, revealing weapons platforms that had been hidden in dimensional pockets for millennia. The Galaxian fleet suddenly found itself surrounded by technology that made their most advanced systems look primitive in comparison. "Multiple weapons locks," the tactical officer shouted, his confident demeanor cracking. "Energy signatures beyond anything in our database." "Impossible," Vex Thor snarled. "These primitives couldn't possibly." "Attention Galaxian fleet." Alexandria's voice cut through their communications on all frequencies, carrying that distinctive resonance that marked truly advanced technology. "You have entered restricted space. By order of Earth's Defense Council and the authority of the Ancient Accords, you will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately." Vex Thor's response was immediate. "Open fire. Full spread. Destroy their defensive platforms." The Galaxian fleet erupted with energy, their weapons turning space into a deadly lattice of destructive force. But their attacks passed harmlessly through the human platforms, the beams distorted by quantum fields that operated on principles the Empire had never discovered. "Return fire," Alexandria commanded. "Minimal force. Demonstration pattern Alpha." The ancient human weapons responded with surgical precision. Quantum beams sliced through the Galaxian shields as if they didn't exist, disabling engines and weapon systems without destroying the ships themselves. In the space of 30 seconds, a third of the invasion fleet was dead in space. On the horizon, now safely positioned behind the defensive screen, Elena watched in awe as physics itself seemed to bend to humanity's will. The quantum resonance technology. It's not just about power. It's about understanding the fundamental nature of reality in ways they never imagined. "Commander," the Galaxian tactical officer's voice was edged with panic. More contacts emerging. From the inner system, from Earth's oceans. They rose like leviathans from the depths, warships that dwarfed anything in the Galaxian fleet. Their hulls were living metal, quantum-engineered alloys that adapted and evolved in response to attack. These were the true defenders of Earth, the masterpieces of an ancient human civilization that had learned to forge the basic forces of the universe into weapons. "You forgot, Commander Vex Thor." Alexandria's voice carried a weight of ancient knowledge. "You forgot why your empire agreed to leave Earth alone 17,000 years ago. Let us remind you. The human warships opened fire, their weapons operating on principles that the Galaxian Empire had dismissed as impossible. Quantum torpedoes bypassed shields by shifting partially out of normal spacetime. Dimensional cutters sliced through hull armor by attacking through higher dimensions. Probability beams altered the quantum states of entire ships, turning their own power systems against them. In the command center, Captain Chen watched as the mighty Galaxian fleet began to break formation. "They're retreating." "Not yet," Marcus stated grimly. "Their commander's pride won't allow it. Not without." A massive energy surge from Vex Thor's flagship interrupted him. The Galaxian vessel began channeling power into its main weapon, building to a level that threatened to destabilize the local space-time continuum. "If they fire that weapon this close to Earth," Elena warned, "the quantum cascade could tear apart half the solar system. They believe we'll stand down rather than risk such destruction." Alexandria observed calmly. "They still don't understand." Atlas. The Horizon's enhanced AI responded instantly. The data from the precursor artifact had upgraded its capabilities far beyond its original design. Quantum resonance field established, ready to implement Protocol Omega. Throughout the solar system, the ancient human weapons platforms began generating a complex web of quantum fields. The energy patterns matched those Elena had first seen on the artifact, But now she understood their true purpose. They weren't just communications or weapons. They were the keys to manipulating reality itself. As Vexthor's weapon reached critical levels, the quantum web activated. Space itself seemed to fold around the Galaxian fleet, containing them in a bubble of altered physics where their weapons couldn't function as designed. The devastating energy they had built up had nowhere to go except back into their own ships. Now, Alexandria commanded, "They remember." The remainder of the Galaxian fleet watched in horror as their flagship's weapon collapsed in on itself, reduced to harmless energy by laws of physics they couldn't begin to comprehend. When Vexthor's next transmission came through, the arrogance had been replaced by something else. Fear. "Stand down all weapons," he ordered his fleet. "Initiate quantum core shutdown. We recognize Earth's sovereign status under the ancient accords." In the command center, Alina turned to Alexandria. "The ancient accords. I thought those were just myths from old alien transmissions we'd intercepted." "The accords are very real," Alexandria replied. "Your civilization wasn't ready to know about them yet. But now." She looked at the tactical display showing the disabled Galaxian fleet. "Now it's time for humanity to reclaim its place in the galaxy, not through conquest or dominance, but as guardians of knowledge that must be used wisely." Captain Chen watched as Earth's ancient warships moved to secure the Galaxian vessels. "And if they don't accept our terms? If they return with an even larger fleet?" Alexandria's hologram smiled. "Then they will learn what your ancestors discovered 17,000 years ago. That humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to imagine possibilities that other species dismiss as impossible, and then make those possibilities real." The interrogation chamber deep within Earth's Antarctic defense complex was unlike anything in modern human military facilities. Its walls shifted with patterns of living metal, and quantum fields maintained perfect environmental conditions while preventing any possibility of escape. Fleet Commander Vexthor sat rigidly in its center, his crystalline features reflecting the soft blue light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "You don't understand what you're doing," he said as Captain Chen entered with Alina and Alexandria's holographic form. "The balance of power has been maintained through lies and intimidation." Alexandria interrupted. "Your empire has suppressed technological advancement across 50,000 worlds, all in the name of stability." Alina studied the alien commander, noting how his facial plates shifted in patterns that suggested deep agitation. "The precursor artifact we found. It wasn't just a key to our past, was it? It was a message. A message your species was never meant to receive." Vexthor snapped. "The precursor's legacy belongs to the Empire. We alone have the wisdom to." "To what?" Chen demanded. "To decide which civilizations are worthy of advancement. To keep entire species in technological darkness." The chamber's walls pulsed, and new holograms appeared showing star systems throughout the galaxy. In each one, alien civilizations were clearly being held back, their development carefully controlled by Galaxian oversight. "Your empire's true crime," Alexandria stated, "wasn't attacking Earth. It was betraying the actual purpose of the precursor network. Tell them, Commander. Tell them what your ancestors discovered in the Andromeda archives." Vexthor's facial plates locked in a pattern of rigid defiance, but something in Alexandria's tone suggested she already knew the truth. After a long moment, he spoke. "The precursors didn't leave their technology as a legacy of power," he admitted. "They left it as a test, a way of identifying species that could advance responsibly, that could handle great technological power without destroying themselves. We failed that test." Alina's eyes widened as the implications became clear. The artifacts respond differently to different species. They don't just measure technological capability. They measure ethical development, Alexandria finished. The capacity for wisdom, for understanding the responsibility that comes with power. 17,000 years ago, humanity passed that test, and the Galaxian Empire has spent every moment since then ensuring no other species would have the same chance. In orbit above Earth, the ancient human warships had taken up defensive positions around the captured Corexian fleet. Marcus's hologram appeared in the chamber, his expression grave. Long-range quantum sensors are detecting multiple transit signatures, he reported. The Empire is mobilizing its main battle fleet. Estimated arrival time: 6 hours. Chen turned to Alexandria. They're really going to risk everything, even after what happened to their advance fleet. They have no choice, Vex Thor said quietly. If word spreads that a primitive species defeated Imperial forces, if other worlds learn the truth about the precursor artifacts, the Empire will lose its grip on power. Thousands of suppressed civilizations will demand the right to advance, which is exactly what the precursors intended. Alexandria stated, "Humanity didn't hide its technology out of fear, Commander. We hid it because we understood something your Empire never did. True power lies not in weapons or technological superiority, but in knowing when and how to use them wisely." The chamber's displays shifted, showing new data streaming in from quantum sensors throughout the solar system. The approaching Corexian fleet was massive, thousands of ships representing the bulk of the Empire's military might. Elena studied the tactical projections. They'll try to overwhelm our quantum defense grid through sheer numbers. Even with our advanced technology, we won't defeat them through technology alone. Alexandria interrupted. Captain Chen, it's time to implement the final phase of the awakening. Dr. Rodriguez, the data you recovered from the artifact contained more than just technical specifications. It held the key to the precursor's true legacy. The chamber's walls rippled, and new holograms appeared showing complex quantum patterns that Elena recognized from her original studies. But now, with her understanding enhanced by what they'd learned, she could see their true meaning. It's a network, she breathed. The artifacts, they're all connected across the galaxy. And if we send the right signal, every suppressed civilization will receive the truth, Alexandria confirmed. Not just about the Empire's deception, but about their own potential. The quantum resonance wave will activate dormant artifacts throughout the galaxy, sharing the knowledge that was meant to be freely given. You'll create chaos, Vex Thor warned. Centuries of stability. Of stagnation, Chen corrected. Your Empire took the precursor's test of wisdom and turned it into a tool of oppression. That ends today. The quantum sensors showed the Corexian battle fleet approaching the orbit of Jupiter, their weapons primed, and their formations spread to counter the tactics they'd seen in the first battle. But this time, Earth's defenders had something far more powerful than advanced technology at their disposal. They had the truth. Begin the transmission, Alexandria commanded. Throughout the solar system, Earth's quantum defense grid reconfigured itself. The ancient warships moved into precise positions, their quantum cores pulsing in perfect synchronization. In the chamber's displays, Elena watched as the precursor artifact they'd discovered began resonating with unprecedented power. Signal reaching quantum space, Atlas reported, its enhanced consciousness coordinating with the defense grid, transmission spreading through the precursor network. Now, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, like a wave of awakening consciousness, the signal spread. On thousands of worlds, ancient artifacts buried by the Empire began to activate. Species that had been kept in technological darkness for centuries suddenly received the knowledge they had been denied. And in the space between Jupiter and Mars, the mighty Corexian battle fleet found itself facing not just Earth's ancient defenses, but a choice that would determine the future of galactic civilization. The space between Jupiter and Mars erupted with energy as the Corexian battle fleet engaged Earth's defenses. But something was different this time. The Empire's ships moved with hesitation, their formation showing subtle signs of uncertainty. In the Antarctic command chamber, Elena watched the tactical displays with growing understanding. They're receiving transmissions from their home systems, Atlas reported. Multiple worlds within the Empire are reporting activated precursor artifacts. The suppressed civilizations are awakening. On the main viewer, the Corexian fleet's supreme commander appeared. Unlike Vexthor's crystalline features, Supreme Commander Zarkalin's face showed the modifications of extreme age, a being who had overseen centuries of imperial dominance. "What have you done?" he demanded, his voice carrying both rage and fear. "Do you understand the forces you're unleashing?" Alexandria's hologram stepped forward, her presence somehow filling the chamber with ancient authority. "Better than your empire ever did, Commander. The precursors didn't create their network to establish dominance. They created it to ensure that when species reached for the stars, they would do so with wisdom as well as power." The tactical displays showed more quantum signatures activating throughout the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, civilizations that had been kept in artificial darkness were receiving the knowledge they had been denied. But it wasn't just technical data flowing through the precursor network. It was something far more important. They're sharing their stories, Elena realized, watching the data streams. Each species, each civilization, the artifacts aren't just transmitting technology. They're sharing their histories, their struggles, their discoveries about how to advance responsibly. "The one thing your empire could never suppress," Alexandria said to Zarkalin, "was the fundamental drive of sentient beings to grow, to learn, to reach beyond their current understanding. You tried to control that drive through force, but the precursors knew that true advancement comes from wisdom shared, not power imposed." The chamber's displays showed the effects rippling through the Empire's fleet. Ship after ship was receiving transmissions from their home systems, learning of the changes already sweeping through Imperial space. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained control for millennia was dissolving in the face of a force more powerful than any weapon: the free exchange of knowledge. "You still have a choice, Commander," Captain Chen offered. "Your empire can be part of this new beginning. Your experience, your understanding of the challenges of advanced technology. These are valuable lessons that should be shared, not used as tools of control." Zarkalin's ancient features shifted through complex emotions. "And if we refuse? If we choose to maintain order through force?" In answer, Earth's quantum defense grid fully activated. The ancient warships moved into attack positions, their weapons charged with power that could reshape reality itself. But more importantly, the tactical displays showed new quantum signatures appearing throughout the galaxy, other species activating their own hidden defenses, awakening to their true potential. "Then you will fail," Alexandria stated simply. "Not because of our weapons, but because you never understood the true source of power. Look at your fleet, Commander. Look at your empire. How many of your own people are already choosing a different path?" The displays confirmed her words. Throughout the Caraxian formation, ships were powering down their weapons. The rigid battle lines were dissolving not through force, but through choice. The Empire's own citizens, connected through the precursor network to the experiences and wisdom of countless other species, were choosing understanding over dominance. Elena watched in amazement as the greatest fleet in known space transformed from an invasion force into a witness to history. "All this time," she said softly, "the artifacts weren't just waiting for species to become technologically advanced enough. They were waiting for us to be ready to share what we'd learned. That was humanity's true achievement 17,000 years ago," Alexandria explained. "Not our weapons or our quantum science, but our understanding that power without wisdom brings only destruction. We chose to wait, to develop culturally and ethically, even though we had already mastered the physical sciences." Supreme Commander Zarkalin was silent for a long moment, his ancient eyes taking in the revolution happening among his own fleet. Finally, he spoke with the weight of centuries. "The Empire has forgotten much, it seems. Perhaps it is time for us to remember how to learn again." The next few hours became known throughout the galaxy as the Great Awakening. Species that had been kept separate by imperial decree began communicating openly, sharing their unique perspectives and discoveries. The precursor network, designed to connect civilizations ready to advance responsibly, hummed with exchanges of knowledge and culture. In the Antarctic command chamber, Captain Chen turned to Alexandria. "What happens now?" with so many species suddenly advancing, accessing technologies they weren't ready for. They won't be alone, Alexandria assured her. The network doesn't just provide knowledge, it provides understanding. Each species will learn from the mistakes and successes of others. And humanity, she smiled. Humanity will have a new role to play. We protected this knowledge, Marcus added, his hologram joining them. Not to keep it for ourselves, but to ensure it would be shared when the time was right. Now we can be what we were meant to be, not conquerors or controllers, but teachers. Guides for those who are ready to advance, sharing the wisdom our ancestors gained about the responsible use of power. The Correction fleet began to withdraw, not in defeat but in transformation. Throughout the Empire, a new order was already taking shape, not one based on suppression and control, but on the free exchange of knowledge and understanding. The ancient accords were being rewritten, with humanity emerging not as a primitive species to be controlled, but as custodians of the precursor's true legacy. On the horizon, still bearing the quantum enhancements from their first encounter with the artifact, Alina looked out at the stars. They seemed different now, filled not just with light, but with the promise of connection, of wisdom shared across the vastness of space. "We did it," she said softly. "We passed the real test." "No," Alexandria corrected gently. "We helped everyone pass it. And that was the point all along. The precursors understood that true advancement comes not from hoarding knowledge or power, but from sharing it wisely. The galaxy is awakening not to conquest or control, but to understanding." Throughout the solar system, Earth's ancient defenses began to power down, their purpose fulfilled. But the quantum network hummed with new life, connecting species and civilizations in ways the Empire could never have imagined. Humanity had reclaimed its legacy, not as warriors or conquerors, but as guardians of a truth more powerful than any weapon. That wisdom shared is wisdom multiplied, and the greatest power lies not in dominance, but in understanding. The stars beckoned, not with the promise of empire, but with the potential for connection. And in ships throughout the galaxy, beings of all species looked up at those same stars, and for the first time in millennia, felt not fear or limitation, but hope.